a question that no one often asks me is, Connor Industries, what's your advice for newer or less experienced Pokemon players? And to answer that question, I will need a few minutes, so I will let this relatively high ladder Gen 9 OU game run in the background as I discuss. The most important thing, I think, for players of Pokemon and competitive adjacents is to understand the relationship they personally have with the game. Ultimately, the vast majority of players of any of these competitive games are not going to be able to... Their livelihoods are not going to depend on the results of games. And so I think it's important to not lose sight of what the games really are, which is an experience to be enjoyed first and foremost. And I think because of the competitive nature of these games, it's easy to start getting swept up by that and to attribute things that are actually negative for your enjoyment to the results of these games, such as your pride or your self-worth. Let me discuss a few examples of the ways I've seen this happen. Lots of people say, I want to win with my favorite Pokemon, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. But when you do that, you do have to accept that depending on format, you're going to be facing probably a suboptimal matchup spread. And so, if you understand that you want to play with these less good Pokemon because they're your favorites, but you don't understand how that interacts with the competitive culture of the game, then I think your experience and your enjoyment can start to get kind of herniated. As, you know, if you're not able to understand and accept the fact that you're probably going to be playing at a disadvantage in most cases, it's going to be a source of frustration for you. The same thing goes for people who say, I want to improve at the game because they perhaps feel as though the time they've invested in the game must accumulate to something, even though it doesn't have to, or they feel pressured by peers. And when you ask these people, okay, so what are you doing to improve? And they respond, well, I don't review my replays, I don't seek out educational resources, I don't talk with players that are better than me, and I don't play objectively good teams. Well, then at some point, you have to think maybe that like what you want from the game is not improvement. Maybe you just want to play the game to enjoy it, and that's fine. That's really the crux of what I'm saying, is that when you don't understand what really gives you enjoyment when you're doing something, it can kind of... priorities that you don't personally have, but you get swept up in, those can really damage your enjoyment of whatever you happen to be doing. And with that, I think I'll end it off because it sounds like my computer is trying to take off, like the fans are going really, really quite loud. So that's where I'll leave it for today. I hope that what I said has some utility for you.